Alright, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Myself and Shane here once again. Shane, what is the crack?
Yeah, we're living in a world where Arsenal are Premier League champions now, which is not a world either of us wanted to be living in. Come when this episode came coming around, but here we are. I had the biggest weekend of sport I've ever had in my life last weekend, I think. So I went to Treaty, I went to Munster, and I went to Limerick on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm still in recovery, trying to get back to
It was 3 wins, wasn't it?
just standing. Yeah, 3 wins, and Celtic won the league as well. So it was a good weekend. We'll forget Liverpool played on Friday because I watched Treaty instead. So yeah, I four wins from four, and the ones that mattered last weekend. And here we are now, and Arsenal are champions world. At least Villa did the decent thing last night and won the Europa League anyway, and give Bournemouth the best chance of getting Champions League.
Yeah, that was nice to see. All right, I liked seeing Villa get that. It was a great scenes as well surrounding the team because they were they're such a decorated club as well. So it was nice to have that last weekend. Listen, to be honest, I can't think much past backwards past yesterday because I went to the physio. I've got this like problem like on my left side. My lats are like really tight going into my like rib muscles and it's going up into my neck. I think it's just the way I've been sitting for a long time, so I needed to move like my screen around on my desk and all. But anyway, do you ever get dry needling in your neck? Because my God, it's
I've never
like
gone dry needling, but it's on the list.
it's absolutely madness. The pain I was in, like literally, went every week for the last 3 weeks, and I did mostly on my lats and my chest, and it was very very sore. But I got through it yesterday. She did it on my neck, and she was like, "Oh, let's push out the appointment for 2 weeks this time because I don't think you're going to be able to go through that again next week." It was unbelievably painful. I was when I got home, I was like, I actually felt like when I was driving home, I was like, I shouldn't be driving right now because I feel like my whole head has been like unlocked and I just felt like in pain but like relieved at the same time. And it's still sore today, but hopefully the relief usually kicks in after a couple of days. So I pray to God that it does.
No thanks. No, thank you.
We'll book you in for a bit of dry needling there on the neck for your next birthday. I
Yeah,
thought you better
I
check.
might I might actually get it on my back. It's You're the third or fourth person who's mentioned it now, so I think if I don't try it, I'll never know. It could help. It might make it worse, but at this stage, I think I'd rather try it and get worse than try nothing at all. So yeah, here we
Yeah,
are.
just go for anything. Let's try it out and see if we can keep you off the injury reserve. One thing I do want to mention
Yeah,
before we get into the rundown is Champions Cup final this weekend. I think it's a massive game for Leinster because although they're underdogs, like Bordeaux are clearly the better team, it's still like almost a must win for everyone involved because of the fact of how Leinster lost so many of them recently. And I think Cullen is under serious pressure to get the win. I think if they let that pressure get to them, there's no chance. If they play how they've been ramping up the last few weeks, it could be a great game. But I am obviously hoping for a Leinster win. But that's going to be an interesting one because I think it could be the end of the road for Leo Cullen if they lose and URC goes with an early crash out too.
I think it has to be the end of Cullen if they lose this one, because that would be what, four losses? Is it four in a row or 4 and 5 if they lose this one?
It's four in the Champions Cup. It's they won the URC last year, the final, but it's four
Oh yeah,
Champions
but
Cup.
no, sorry, I meant in the Champions Cup. They'd have lost four finals in a row in the Champions
Yeah,
Cup.
yeah, yeah.
Not maybe not four in a row in the cup, but you know what I mean. For their last four finals
Oh
they've
yeah,
been in,
yeah.
they'd have lost. So I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
it would have to be the end of Leo Cullen then, because even their URC season,
Mhm.
like it was nothing to write home about. I know they finished second, and they were more focused on going through in the Champions Cup. But if they come out of this season with no trophy again, then I think it's really, really poor for a side that are built to win, really. So they like for a side that's built to win, they really should be winning.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the whole stress of the Champions Cup got to them in the last couple of finals after losing the other ones earlier when they should have won. I think the hardest one they had was against Toulouse, and that was the one they had the biggest chance to win because they
Yeah.
missed the kick at the last second. So yeah, it's going to
Mm.
be interesting. I think it could be the end of the road for him, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on as a Leinster fan. Hopefully they get the win. But let's move into the rundown for this week. We had Michael on as usual in the NBA, so we talked mostly about Spurs OKC because that is the hot topic right now, and that's the series that has been played on Friday night. So you'll hear our thoughts before you get to watch that tonight and see how it goes. we did obviously touch on the Cavs and Knicks a little bit from game one. We don't know how game two is going to go because that is on. We're recording this on Thursday night as always, so we'll miss out on that before the podcast. So we didn't want to focus too much on that. But James Harden's game, we needed to have a word on that from game
Love.
one. Then we moved into the football side of things. Arsenal winning the Premier League, as Shane mentioned. The permutations heading into the final weekend of the Premier League, what could happen in terms of relegation and European spots, and then Spygate in the Championship. Just a crazy story that we got into, which was good fun to talk about. Then we moved into Conchance, the final iteration of the season, and then the NFL. Instead of power rankings, we gave you our powerless rankings, which teams we thought have absolutely no power and are not looking good going into this season. And then we wrapped up with the actual power rankings as usual, the last one of the season. Hold on for our picks there. Let's see how they get on. Hold on to the very end for a bit of a nice ending to wrap that up. But let's jump into the episode. So the conference finals, the matchup we've all been waiting for, has gotten underway. OKC versus San Antonio Spurs. Look, there's also the small matter of the Knicks and Cavs to look at, but as we do every week, we're going to talk about the game that's not on Thursday night as we record. So that's going to be Spurs and OKC, which is great for us because we get to talk about the two first games and build up to game three in San Antonio. So we're looking at 1-1 right now. Two unbelievable games. Game one was Wemby, just all over, just dominated the whole game, played 40 odd minutes going into double overtime. The perfect way to start this matchup. And then second game, SGA took over and OKC leveled at 1-1. So going into San Antonio on Friday night, Michael, what are your initial thoughts from game one and two?
Honestly, I was thinking about this a lot, but my initial thoughts is everybody who said defense is dead in the NBA, come take a look at this. I feel like we saw SGA adapt to what the Spurs were throwing at him. Had a great game. We saw OKC take a completely different use of Hartenstein. Hartenstein couldn't get on the floor game one. Game two was everywhere, pulling everyone, being the instigator. But it worked. I mean, Wemby took 5 shots at the rim in game two versus like 19, 20 in game one. And that's just being physical, pushing him off. There's a lot of talk about the refs. The refs, if the team wasn't good, they'd still lose. Okay? Like, and on top of that, they're not bribing them. It's not that they're literally cheating with the refs. A lot of the time, it's good footwork. Does it suck sometimes that when they go for jump shots, they're not looking to get the ball out, they're looking to get the contact? Yeah, but if you make contact, that's a foul 100% of the time. So it's a little bit like, I get the discourse around it, but there's no arguing it isn't a foul. And we're seeing both of these teams adapt their defenses. I'm expecting OKC to do something crazy again in game three and go with something different, especially with the Spurs having 2 days to prepare for what they just did in game two. But this series is going to be crazy. I'm going to have to stay up on Friday night. I can't lie.
So I just want to touch on what you said there about the contacts and how contact is a foul 100% of the time. It's when they're kicking their legs out to make sure that they catch the other person and then they go down. That's what's annoying me. And you had Chess purposely trying to stand on Wemby as well when the ball was going up off a free throw. I didn't like that either. That's the things that annoy me. It's like there was a video went out on Twitter. I didn't watch the whole thing because honestly, I can't be bothered with it. It's starting to become a bit like Arsenal for me now. But it was showing SGA going down after every single shot he took, trying to get an and one.
Yeah, I saw that. I
And
saw
like
that
that's not
that video.
basketball.
That's complete. If you like, that's just completely incorrect. That video. It shows like 6 calls, and then
Yeah,
it looks back.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's he only
So
got he
it's
only had 6
just
free throws on the night. Like, so I that video is
okay.
just
Well,
for
that's not
replay, and
yeah.
it worked on you. So
I know I said I didn't watch it, but I think in general they have, as you said, they've been two amazing games. Wemby 24 rebounds in game one is just it's silly, like it really is, as well as his 41 points is it's madness. And then game two, we kind of saw the real OKC come back and show what they can do. I think the Spurs will be more than happy to get out of OKC with a 1-1 and not be 2-0 down and bring them back to San Antonio for 2 games and see, like, what they've done at home all season has been quite remarkable. Or, they're a bit special. Like, so if they can come out of this 3-1, going back to OKC for game five, then it really is, it really puts them in such a strong position.
Yeah, I think it's likely they split these next two as well because,
Yeah.
as Michael said, OKC are going to come with something different. And if that doesn't work, they'll come with something different again. Like looking at last night, they went 11 deep, like, or 10 deep onto their roster, which is crazy. Jared McCain closing for them, hitting clutch threes in the fourth. Just just looked so good. SGA was superb. Like J Dub went down after 5 minutes. AJ Mitchell went out of the game injured as well, and yet they still had more. They had other players there that could step in. Now, I think the one thing that's annoying me right now is this: I just didn't look at any of these like posts or things about like fouling or like refs, because this is literally the best two basketball teams in the NBA playing for the highest stakes, and both teams are being physical with each other. And like, if you wanted to make a montage of players flopping, let's go back to game one and make it of Wemby, because he's flopping all over the place, and he was getting the calls. And in game two, we make a flopping montage of SGA, and he only had 6 free throws. So that's part of the game now. Look, if you get your contact, you have to exaggerate it and go down. It's part of basketball, especially if you get somebody hitting you or making contact with you, and then people make a big deal about the players falling down. If you don't fall down like onto your arse basically and like set yourself with your hands, you could seriously injure yourself. Any bit of contact when you're going up into the air, if you land, you could break your leg, do your knee, do your ankle. That's why they fall like that. So all of this stuff is set up in a way that, oh, this is the most important part, like the refs. No, the basketball decided who won both of those two games. And shots like Wemby's pull up three in overtime of game one, and shots like SGA's like hard break on Castle and step back into a long two with like 40 seconds left last night. That's the sort of thing that we should be focusing on. This is going to go to seven, and we're going to get so many good moments like this. I will say before I throw it back to you guys is that De'Aaron Fox was a big miss because Castle was great. His stat line was nice. He played well. He made some good shots. 25, 5, 8, and a steal. 59% shooting on 17 shots is super, but 9 turnovers. He's not ready to lead an offense against a defense like OKC just yet. He's still very young. He will learn, and I think Fox is the cool head that they need out there in moments like this. So that was a big miss. And if he's going to miss more games, this could very easily be 3-1 to OKC going back to Oklahoma if he's going to be still out, because he is a huge factor in controlling this young team.
Yeah, we're going to talk about turnovers when we get on to James Harden now in a couple of minutes, but 9 is really, really bad as well. And as you said, like, that is, it's like, it's not game defining, but it is definitely game changing. He was minus 11 on the night as well, which obviously comes from the fact he did turn the ball over 9 times. And that's not really going to help any team, no matter how good you are. If you have someone that turns the ball over that much, then you are going to be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, they do really need the Aaron Fox back as soon as possible. And we've seen with a lot of teams throughout these playoffs already that when there is one guy out, like for the Rockets missing Durant, that was such a big loss against the Lakers, and you had Luka obviously out for the Lakers series against OKC. While it probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference considering they got absolutely slapped around the place, he would have, like, they probably would have picked up one game or maybe two if they had Luka in there. So people like the Aaron Fox just need to get back as quickly as they can and just try and help this team through what is clearly the most difficult matchup they could have gotten.
Yeah, I feel like the last 2 days with all of my friends, I've been saying De'Aaron Fox doesn't look like the best guard on the team, and I've been repeating that. But you really, I gave it a pass in game one because they got the win, but you really start to feel it looking at the stats so far in 2 games. I mean, Stefan Castle has 20 turnovers. The next closest is Wemby with 7. The highest anyone on OKC has is SGA with 5. I mean, that's going to kill your team every single time. That is an insane comparison to have right there. I think another big challenge where we'll really see how good these two teams are is the depth now with Dylan Harper and Jalen Williams out for both teams. I'm super excited to see what person off the bench I've never heard of comes in and scores 12 to 15 points for a team. It's going to be electric. But I'd love to hear who you guys think. I didn't answer the question earlier. I think OKC picks up game 3. But to continue my point, um, I think Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, the center,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to have to play like 20 minutes to kind of make up for the depth from the other Jalen Williams. In the regular season, every time he's been given over 20 minutes, been a monster. Love him in my fantasy league. Every time the two centers are out, he's averaging a triple double. It's crazy. So if he can step up and have that same kind of impact he has in those series against the Nuggets, I think it'll be great for OKC. I think they get another win in game 3, and then Wemby comes back in game 4 at home to seal the deal, bring it to a game 5 decider. But it's definitely going 7. It has to go 7. I need it to go 7.
Yeah, I feel like we all deserve to watch 7 games of this. Like, all season we've watched so many horrendous games of basketball in the regular season, and then you had the likes of the Pistons and Magic like in the first round, and now we've got this like cream of the crop basketball. So this is going to be better than whatever the finals throws up, I think. So I'm really looking forward to each and every one of these games. Your point about depth and who's going to come in, OKC are the only team that are injury proof. If J Dub doesn't play, if AJ Mitchell still can't play, even if someone else goes down that's not Shea, then they can fill that gap. Like they've got guys like Aaron Wiggins, who is an incredible player that I was so high on last season in the playoffs, and I told you he's going to have his big moments, and he did have them in the finals. And he's not even getting a look in. But if he comes in, he's ready. You know he's ready to go, like Jay Will hitting big threes when he comes in. I think he can do a similar thing to what Hartenstein did. I think in game 2 on Wemby if they need it for a shorter stint, like 15 minutes maybe. Hartenstein only played 20 odd, high 20s. If he pushes that into 32, 33 minutes, I think they've got something good going there. But their guard rotation is just so deep. And then you look at the Spurs. If Dylan Harper and Fox are out, this is 4-1. It doesn't matter if you have Wemby or not. If both of them are out for the rest of the series, it's over because Jordan McLaughlin and Carter Bryant, they're not getting you through it. They're nice players. They're fine. Bryant is having a good rookie season, but there's a huge difference between that drop off and OKC's drop off. So if De'Aaron Fox is back for game 3, I think it's going to be very, very close. But I'm going to go with what you said, Michael, and I'm going to go with OKC getting one, and then Spurs kicking back into gear and going, right, we need to pull this back because we're still at home. Fox and Wemby, and some of the other guys stepping up. Champagne maybe hitting some threes. But if we don't see Fox or Harper for either game, I think we will see Fox. I think he's only questionable. It's not a severe injury. But if we don't see either of them, it's going 3-1 back to OKC. We need to get Fox back on the floor, especially with Harper's injury looking pretty tough for them.
Yeah, I think we hadn't even mentioned Alex Caruso there as well, and
Mm.
he's just a menace whenever he's on the court. He was plus 18 last night in his 25 minutes, 17 points. Like, if they need him to step in and do 20 minutes as well, he can easily do it, and he puts up points like it's no man's business as well. So, as you said, OKC are so deep. Being able to go 10 players in a conference final is a luxury that I don't think too many other teams have, where the drop off just isn't crazy. And like I just said, the Spurs, well, they have built a really, really good five. It is the supporting cast that need to step up or kind of just pull form out of nowhere, because if Fox is out and Harper is going to be out as well, then they really are in trouble. It could be 4-1 or 4-2 then, but we want one of them back because, as you both said, we want this going 7 games, so we want them both at their fit and firing at their best. So hopefully they all just come back and have a nice time.
Yeah, your point on Alex Caruso reminded me of one thing, and I thought about it in the Rockets series when the Lakers were winning and Marcus Smart was playing great. Good organizations. The sign of a good move is getting that veteran defensive piece, whether it's Drew Holiday, even Derek White for the Celtics. We're talking about like Marcus Smart for the Lakers, and now we're seeing Alex Caruso for OKC. That kind of that guy who can knock down his shots and play great defense for 40 minutes of a game is so invaluable to these top team contenders because as good as everyone is on offense and as much as everyone says defense is dead, it feels like defense is now a premium because everyone has a great offensive package. So if you can play great defense, there's always a place for you, no matter what age you are, as we can see. Even Portland played great, getting into the playoffs after their head coach got arrested day one.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said for the defensive ability of both of these teams. Like, even if you look last night, it felt like early when it started, it was kind of slow to get going. Now, both teams put up 31 in the first quarter, but if you look at the second quarter, there's 20 points only going up by the Spurs. In the fourth, only 26 by OKC. Like, it's still quite a number, but if you put that across four quarters, it would be lower. And I think that teams can lock in for 5-10 minutes at this fast pace that the league is played at. That's a testament to both squads. I want to just get your thoughts quickly on the Knicks and Cavs side of things because look, that's going to be on tonight, so we won't know what the result is going into game three. But game one, look, let me just set the table here because 93-71 with 7 minutes and 39 seconds remaining, the Cavs are leading by 22 points. The Knicks get five straight, and then they call a timeout with 6:41 remaining. They come out of that timeout and they go on an 18-1 run before Kenny Atkinson calls a timeout with 3:30 left. So he allowed this game, to go 23-1 before he called any sort of timeout in the fourth quarter. So then coming out of that, you go, right, Mobley hits a big three, not looking too bad. 8 points up, 97-89 to the Cavs. Knicks get the thing back to 99-99 with 45 seconds left. That's a 28-6 run in 6 minutes, and the Cavs only call one timeout during that in the fourth quarter of the conference finals. It's just a complete malfunction of coaching that he did not pull James Harden out of this game or do what he did literally 90 seconds before the end and put Strus out there and have him be the one that switches on to Brunson consistently to trouble him, because that actually worked. But he just allowed James Harden to get cooked over and over and over again, didn't change anything about it. Meanwhile, Harden is 9 ISO possessions against him in the fourth quarter and overtime. Guess how many points per possession he gave up on those 9 possessions? Michael, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I saw
Wasn't
it.
it 1.9 or
Yeah,
something?
Yeah, 1
Just like 2 points every
1.9.
time.
It's just a bucket every time when you're ISO against Harden. That's just disgraceful. In the fourth quarter and overtime of a game you're leading by 22 with 7 minutes left. Like, okay, Brunson, 15 points, 7 and 9 in the fourth quarter. Like, superb as always. He's clutch. He can take over a game. He's playing against a traffic cone. It's not. It's just such a different game than what we watched with Spurs and OKC. It's so stodgy at times this series. It's only been one game, but there was times where it was so slow, hard to watch. I'm sorry. I think this thing needs to pick itself up. I know it was amazing to watch that Knicks comeback, but there's no way on earth that should ever have happened. The Cavs need to sort themselves out.
yeah. That tweet I saw that I sent you where it was James Harden is on 5 fouls. The Knicks really need to make sure he doesn't foul out here just to keep him on the court because Jesus, he just completely fell apart. He went back to the James Harden that has been just lambasted left, right, and centre by so many teams. But on top of that, going 5 for 16, 1 of 8 from three, he just did himself no favors at all. And then letting all those isolation possessions up on him as well, then was just, oh wow.
6
I
turnovers as
mean,
well.
like talk about, yeah, sorry, I was going to get onto that in a second as well. The 6 turnovers on top of that, he just doesn't help himself at any point, and like they brought him in to win the championship, and the way they got through the conference semi-finals, and he kind of pulled it together towards the end of those last 2 or 3 games, and we're like, oh, maybe he is up for the fight here. And then he goes into game one of the conference finals and does that. It's like, oh well, I did my bit in the semi-finals. The rest of them can pull up now and show me what they can do before I try and do something again. This has been James Harden's problem all his career, really, and it's why he probably, well, there's no probably, he won't win an NBA championship before he retires now if he's going to be in your starting five. I love the man. He was brilliant for the Rockets, but again, he's just not a serious person, and that the other night really showed that he is not a serious person.
Yeah, like performances like this is exactly why Daryl Morey did not want to give you that contract. Okay? And that's why you got traded. And I don't know, is he going to opt out this offseason? I wouldn't, because I don't think you're going to get that contract that you think the Cavs promised you. This is the 7th game this offseason where he has equal or more turnovers than made field goals. They've had 2 game 7s. That's like half the games. And you're thinking, oh, particularly bad. Harden has 49 games in his career playoff history out of 189, sorry, where he has at least as many turnovers as made field goals. That is 25% of the time once he hits the playoffs. 25% of the time you're getting a scrub. Just a scrub. Can't do nothing. Bobbles the ball all the time. That's outrageous. If it was any other player, oh my God, we'd be murdering them.
But that's the losing of a series. If it's one in every 4 games, he's going to show up and do absolutely nothing for you. That's how you lose series. It's how they lost. It's how they lost game 1. So maybe now the next 3 is okay, but then goes to game 5. Like, are you going to get the James Harden that stands up and puts down 8 of 12 from 3 and has 2 turnovers? It's unlikely. You're actually more likely to get the one that gives up the 6 turnovers and 5 made field goals and 9 isolation possessions and everything. And like, I honestly can't think of a better way to describe him than he's not a serious person. Because why are you putting him on the court to put yourself in this position over and over again? He's also, what is he, 36? He's not changing now. If anything, he's only going to get worse.
Yeah,
if anything. So
he's
I think the
out there
Cavs might need to
pretending as
blow
well.
this up in the summer.
At times he's pretending. Like, he's like,
Yeah,
I'm contesting the shot, but like, you're not. We can see you're
yeah.
not.
It's just your hand is just up.
Yeah, it's
No.
yeah.
And
Go
I
ahead,
think
Mike.
James is spot on as well. Kenny Atkinson has to answer for something, because I mean Jalen Tyson was playing amazing all season. Can't look on the floor. But even if you want to say fine, he can't play. Keon Ellis can knock down shots, and when he was playing at Sacramento,
That's your Caruso.
I remember sending. That's exactly what I'm saying. I remember sending like stories and posts on Instagram of advanced metrics of Keon Ellis being like top 5 in everything. And they trade for him, and I thought he was going to be such a good pickup. He can't look at the floor. He can't get more than 5 minutes, and he was like a +2 or something. I don't know.
It's frustrating.
So many things went wrong for the Cavs, but we have to also. I feel like we've just been dunking on James Harden and the Cavs. The Knicks look great, man. Captain Brunson is there. Everybody's giving good contributions. Karl Anthony Towns is so good this offseason. I am amazed every time he touches the floor. He's averaging almost 8 assists this playoff.
Yeah.
Every other time he's played, he's averaged, I think, 2.8. That is unprecedented, like, increase in this playoffs, and it's done. He's done it for 2 series now, so they're destined for the finals. It feels.
He started off that first 3 games against the Hawks pretty poorly, and then that's when they did that kind of move of him to the 4. And his passing ability has always been good, but now it's like when he started hitting down a few shots, he started getting doubled, and then his passing out of doubles has just been so good. And when Bridges is hitting shots in OG like they are, then it's easy to rack up those assists, and he's doing a great job with his decision making. So I agree with you. I think the Knicks clean this one up. I don't know how many games it goes. Maybe 6. Because there wasn't.
I think 5, 6.
there wasn't too much between the teams. I know there was a big different, but like you move on 2 nights later and things could be very different tonight. And the Cavs have the ability to beat them, but I just think the Knicks have more than enough, and they won't start as slow as they did. I don't think as they did in game one again. So look, we've got that one tonight, so you guys will all know what game two looked like. We could be sitting at 1-1, which would make things a bit more interesting. But the main one we're looking forward to is OKC and Spurs on Friday night. So let's watch that one, see how the rest of the week unfolds, and we'll be back more NBA action next Thursday.
Just before we let Michael go, Michael, do you want to guess what I picked as my finals matchup when we were doing the preseason preview? I need to give myself some credit after the shit show I made of the NFL one.
What do you have Knicks Spurs?
Knicks OKC.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had the Lakers. I was out so early.
Yeah, I
Damn.
know, but you're
That
just
was a good
you're
call,
you're
man.
you're a LeBron fanatic.
I
Let's
had the Sixers too making it out of.
Yeah, true.
So you know what? It doesn't even matter. Yeah, I don't
It
even
matters
care
to me
anymore.
because I made a dog's dinner of the NFL one, saying the Jets were probably going to win the whole thing, running around my sitting room.
yeah, top swinging. Let's get some more comments like that out of you next season. Right, nice one, Mike. We'll talk to you next week.
See you in a bit, Mike.
See you guys.
Okay, so let's dive into the football side of things now that Michael has departed. Shane is hyped for this. Arsenal winning the title. It was sealed on Tuesday night. They're the
Mhm.
winners after City dropped points to Bournemouth. City had dropped points to Everton a couple of weeks ago as well. So those two were what really sealed it for Arsenal. Arsenal, look, 69 goals for them this season. City were the only team that had a more potent attack with 76. Best defense in the league, 26 goals against, 25 wins, 7 draws, 5 losses. You're looking at that kind of statistical profile and how everything looked in terms of their play and total points. By no means was it a dominant Premier League title win, or one really to be marveled at or remembered. I don't think, compared to what we've seen in recent years, but they got the job done. The exploitation of set pieces and their use of like pushing the boundaries on fouls without getting any red cards or penalties is commendable to them, because they knew how to game the system better than anyone else. They used it to their advantage, and now they've got the Premier League title to show for it, and they can rest and prep for the Champions League final in a couple of weeks. They don't have to really do anything this weekend because it is sealed for them.
Yeah, so I am a firm believer that the best team in the league wins the league at the end of the season. So in fairness, like as you everything you said is true. Like they've made the most of absolutely everything in what has been like I'd nearly say every team in the Premier League is a mid-table team at the moment, bar Arsenal and maybe City on a good day. The rest of them have just been mid-table teams. Anyone can beat anyone, and they've just beaten more than anyone else. But it's the no red cards and no penalties stinks for me. It really does. It really just it sits in the back of my throat, and it's not their fault. Like, but the PGMOL have made maybe 8 statements saying that decision was wrong, this decision was wrong, and I don't understand how after 4 or 5 not looking closer to see, oh well, we let him away with that there 3 weeks ago, so how are we letting him away with it again? But like my problem is more with Arteta than it is Arsenal. Like it's not the players' fault; their manager's a clown. I just think that I don't see how they go back to back. I can't see them coming out here and winning this league next year. I think they're more likely to do with Liverpool than they are to win this back to back, which is good. And I'm really happy that Arteta stays in charge of them for another year, because there's no way he's going to get away with playing the same brand of football again this year. It's gotten him the title this year, but he has to go back to some sort of normal football next year, because the players and the fans aren't going to want to play this defensive rubbish for another 38 games and see how it gets them. But yeah, let's leave it there and move on to the relegation fight. I think I really, really don't want to talk about him anymore.
Well, I think next year will be interesting though, because they'll probably see it as an opportunity. Like, I think anything less than winning it again would be an underperformance, because they have a
Hmm.
manager that's been there for so long. They've got a great squad. They're going to spend more money, and you're getting Pep leaving. Slot look, let's call a spade a spade. He probably won't last the season. And Carrick,
I don't know. Did you see Twitter today?
no. What about it?
It's all over Twitter today that he's a gunner. That
Oh,
the
right
in the
now.
season review has been done. I think I saw it from 8 different people on Twitter today that he's gone and Areola is the favourite to win now. So we'll have to
Oh,
wait and
okay.
see. I'm not sure how I feel about the Areola one either. He's never managed a club in European football.
I
He's
think
had a
that would
lot
be
of
decent.
injuries this year, but he's only had one game a week. So yeah, but look, we'll talk about that next week if it does come
Yeah.
to fruition. But like I was messing with a Villa fan I know last night. So Wally's delighted for them. That was absolutely massive. But he was saying that if Pep does go, he thinks they have the best manager in the league now with Unai Emery, and I don't think he's far off. To be fair, because I think Emery's a better manager than Arteta is. But if they come out and try and like, I think there has to be changes this summer in the Premier League with around set pieces, the pushing, the shoving, the pulling, the long throws have to change as well. There's so much the Premier League need to fix this year because the product they put out this year was just so poor from everyone. Even Arsenal won the league. They were I couldn't stomach watching them. They were a terrible team to watch. Man City have been a terrible team to watch for years. They were actually more enjoyable to watch this year because
Yeah,
Ryan
they were.
Turkey was doing what he wanted, but it's become such a hard league to watch, and they really need to sort out the set pieces and these goal kicks and everyone jumping for everything. It just drives me insane. I don't know what you can do about corners. Maybe do that thing where no one's allowed in the 6 yard box until the ball is kicked or whatever it is, like the hurling rule. We can't go in the box. One for our outside of Ireland listeners there. You can look that one up, the square ball. But they have to do something to fix it because if it goes into this season like the same way as it is this year, there's more Friday nights I'd be going up watching Treaty than watching the Friday night Premier League game because I'd rather watch rubbish football in real life than rubbish football on television, to be honest. So we'll have to wait and see what they do in the summer.
Yeah, I think that point is a good one that they need to do something. I don't know what they could do about certain things, but they need to clamp down on this stuff in the box, and in the first 3 or 4 games, give 10 free outs and 3 penalties per game until the team stop pulling, or you do a thing where you don't allow anyone in that 6 yard box, which I think is actually a very very good idea. It would make for probably some more interesting routines as well from set pieces, but my point that I was going to make still kind of stands if Slot does go because you're looking at Liverpool with a new manager, City with a new manager, United with Carrick, who's only been there for a few months, and then Emery is probably the next best manager or the manager of a team that's been there the longest. But are Villa going to push for a title? I don't think they're consistent enough, and they're going to be in the Champions League, so it's going to be tough. So look, Arsenal would want to go back to back next season, and let's see if they can by playing some sort of different football because I don't think everything goes their way again another year. I agree with that point. But
Mm.
let's look at what's going to happen this weekend because obviously the title is not to play for anymore. So what is to play for? Well, we've got West Ham and Spurs, two North London rivals. They're going to fight it out to avoid the final relegation spot. So a draw at home to Everton is enough for Spurs. So they just need 1 point. Like West Ham's goal difference, they're not going to catch them. Right now, you're looking at
Minus
West Ham
14 or something.
-22 for West Ham and -10 for
Yeah,
Spurs. So
12 goals.
that's not possible. West Ham need to beat Leeds and they need Everton to beat Spurs. So that's the first thing that we're going to be keeping an eye on. I don't know. Everton, they were awful last week. I don't know why they would make any effort to improve playing away from home this week when they couldn't do it at home last week. Spurs surely get a point here and stay up.
I think Spurs would rather this was happening at the Hill Dickinson rather than their own place. And I think Everton are happier that they're going away to Spurs rather than bringing them to their home. I think Spurs would love to flip this fixture and be going to the Hill Dickinson because they've 2 wins at home all year. I know they only pick win. I know they only need a point, but I think Everton are like every other team in this world. They want to see Spurs go down because West Ham staying up is one team more that keeps them away from the relegation zone because West Ham will be in this position again next year. There's no way if Spurs stay up that they're in this position again next year. I don't see how it happens at all. I know it's been 2 years in a row and that is a bit of a pattern, but if Spurs stay up, they'll be back in the top 10 next year. I'm going to say that now before they've even made any transfers. I think I still have this funny feeling Spurs go down. I don't know how it happens. And it's not even haha look at Spurs thing now. I actually just think it's gone so far that yeah, they're in a great position. They're 2 points up. They only need a point. But if they go 1-0 down to Everton at any point and West Ham are 1-0 up in the other game, you can forget about it. Those fans are going to be booing and screaming and abusing, and it's not going to help anyone on the pitch. And I don't blame them for what they've watched over the last 24 months. But I still have this feeling Spurs go down, and it might come back to bite me. They might go out and beat Everton 3-0, be over and done with by half time. But I think there's still a way where Spurs go down and West Ham stay up. And I think West Ham getting Leeds is quite a good one. Leeds got their big win last week to end the season, so they're happy out. They've all their home games are done. They are fully on the beach. They'll come out in their flip flops with their towels over their shoulders. They'll be absolutely fine. West Ham will probably get a win there. It's just about if Everton do want to show up and put Spurs into the championship.
Yeah, I think you're right on that point that if Everton grab an early goal, then we could see like this one go very badly for Spurs. But the longer it goes on, I think the less likely Everton are to score.
Hmm.
It would have been a much better situation if Everton had beaten Sunderland at home last week, because then they'd be
I'm
right in
around
the
for
hunt
Europe.
for Europa League. And now it's just not possible with the goal difference they have, really, and the teams above them that they can't catch up with Chelsea, and everything else would have to go their way too, and Chelsea'd have to lose by like 5. So
Hmm.
it's just out of the question right now. I That's why I just think Spurs will at least get a point. A few weeks ago I actually did think they were going to go down, but a couple of results went their way, and West
The Villa
Ham.
one really helped them. The fact they played Villa between the two Forest legs really, really helped them. And
Yeah,
so what it's worked out for Villa now, it didn't matter to them. They have their Champions League secured. But if Spurs hadn't gotten those points against Villa, they'd be going into this last day in the bottom three, and I'll never forgive Villa for that. I know they won their trophy and fair enough, but I'll never forgive them for giving Spurs a handy free 3 points at Villa Park.
yeah. Well, let's look at the European side of things, because there is still stuff to play for there.
No,
Right now, we've got it's a bit of a messy situation, but let's put it quite short. If Brighton and Bournemouth are two teams that can still get into the Champions League, so if City beat Aston Villa and Liverpool beat Brentford, then Brighton or Bournemouth can grab that 6th place, and that will then become a Champions League spot. For Brighton to do it, they would need Bournemouth to lose, and they would need to win. They have a better goal difference, so they would take that spot. For Bournemouth to do it, all they need is a draw away to Forest, which is likely because Forest are safe now. And I think Bournemouth will go out on this last game for Areola and at least get that point. So they will be praying that the other two results go their way and they can get Champions League. Then for the other European spots, we've got Brighton on 53, Chelsea 52, Brentford 52, and Sunderland 51. So all those teams are in with a fighting chance of getting either the last Europa League spot or the Conference League spot. So Sunderland actually play Chelsea. Beating them would put them above them and give them a great chance. If Liverpool beat Brentford, they would have it, which would be crazy for Sunderland to manage that. Brentford obviously need to beat Liverpool and hope for other results to go their way. Brighton want to beat Man United, and then obviously we mentioned Chelsea. They want to go out and get something against Sunderland to secure that spot. I would love to see Sunderland go out and beat Chelsea, and then everything else is kind of up in the air after that. If my perfect weekend here would be City beat Villa, Liverpool beat Brentford, we see Bournemouth in the Champions League, Sunderland beat Chelsea and grab themselves Europe, knocking Chelsea out in the process, Spurs lose, West Ham win. That would be an absolutely amazing Sunday to end the season.
yeah, I have no complaint to that, which is surprising because I was fully sure you were just going to go with Brentford to beat Liverpool, and we'd have a bit of an argument then.
No, I'd
But
just love to see
I,
Bournemouth
I
in the
do,
Champions
I
League.
think no, 100%. I think everything you said is how it goes. I think Liverpool will finish fourth because they have a better goal difference than Villa and they'll finish above them. Now, Liverpool tried their best to give Villa a better goal difference than Liverpool had when they played last Friday night, but thankfully it didn't go as badly as it actually did go. Liverpool win, City win, Bournemouth win, and then like is Chelsea in the Conference League funnier than Chelsea not having Europe?
It's
Is
worse.
kind of my
I
toss
think
up between
they'll
Chelsea and
just walk
Sunderland
it
being in
again,
there.
and it would just ruin it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Let's get Sunderland into Europe then. I think Brentford for a team that I think we both tipped to go down. What a
No, I
job
did
Keane
not.
Andrews has done there.
I did
Did you
not tip
not?
them to go
I did
down.
anyway. What a job Kid Andrews has done there, incredible. And their end to the season has been like they've kind of done a Crystal Palace season. They have 14 wins, 10 draws, 13 losses. It's one of those where it's like every third game is literally going to be one result, the other or the other. So, but they've just been so solid. They'll get top 10 hopefully. And yeah, hopefully Sunderland can jump into eighth place. Chelsea ninth, Brentford 10th. Eddie Howe loses his job because Newcastle are 11th or 12th. Actually, we need him to finish 12th because Everton are going to beat Spurs. So yeah,
Yeah, so
I can't
that's
wait to look back to tables we did at the start of the season because I don't think
yeah,
we're going to have a single positioner.
yeah. We need to look at that because I think they're miles off.
Mm.
Yeah, I do think we're miles off at that, to be honest. But if West Ham do go down, at least I had that one from the start of the season. That was my hot take. So,
Oh, well,
that
this
was off.
okay.
Yeah. So let's see if that comes true. I would still rather Spurs and be wrong at this point. But a last thing to touch on in the football side of things, obviously, congratulations to Aston Villa for winning the Europa League. That was superb. Well deserved. They were the much better side. There's not much to break into the game other than some fantastic goals. But the
The
Spygate scandal,
goals, my God.
yeah,
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah,
Let's get into the Spygate side of things because this is just a ridiculous story, all things considered. Basically, if you don't know, this is the rundown. May 7th, Middlesbrough make a formal complaint to the EFL, alleging that a Southampton member of staff spied on their training 3 days before Championship playoff semi final first leg. First leg is a nil-niller. Borough boss calls out Southampton, says they're cheaters. May 12th, Southampton were then charged with a breach of EFL regulations. That was before the second leg. The playoff second leg goes ahead. Southampton win in extra time. They get their place in the Championship playoff final. The day after, photos start coming out of a Southampton analyst named William Salt near Middlesbrough's training ground. Absolutely hilarious photos of him trying to
yeah.
hide behind a tree.
Just go
It's the
behind the tree,
worst,
like
the worst
please,
spy
please go in
spy
the bush or
movie.
something. Like
It's lit,
it's absolutely
it's
ridiculous.
literally like Naked Gun level of ridiculous spy
Yeah,
work.
there with
Middlesbrough,
the phone behind the tree.
yeah.
Come on, like
Then Middlesbrough call out Southampton. They want them to get expelled. That was May 15th. May 18th, Middlesbrough players return to training because there's an independent disciplinary hearing. May 19th, the EFL announces Southampton are expelled from the playoff final. Southampton come out, obviously, they appeal that. That's not successful. And the FA confirmed they'll begin their own investigations into Spygate because there was a Luke Edwards telegraph with some whistleblower information that this has been going on all season, or at least for a portion since the new manager came in. This is a crazy story in so many ways. I I think good enough for them to get thrown out the way they did because they cheated, but Hull have been majorly done badly here because Middlesbrough knew they'd be playing Hull in the final. So as soon as they went back to training, they could prep for that. And in their minds, that was the game that they were going to get. Whereas Hull still don't know which team that they're going to play. And they're the ones that won their two legs. I just don't agree with that side of things at all. But this is where we are, and the game is on Saturday. It's going to be madness if Middlesbrough get up.
I think Hull to just be put straight up because yes, and Southampton have been expelled, so fair enough. But Middlesbrough were knocked out. So technically, the last team standing is Hull. Like I know they haven't played a final, but they are the last team standing. So they should just be put straight up, given the benefit of all the money, whatever it is. Because Burr went out and lost their two legs, as you said, and then came back training, knowing okay, we have a week now to prepare for Hull potentially. Hull are there, like are we playing Southampton, we playing Middlesbrough, two different styles of football, two completely different teams. It's really really unfair in Hull. Even yesterday, that thing where it's like we'll have two different kick-off times,
Yeah.
depending on who they're playing. What was that about? Like none of it's making sense. If they like you forgot to mention as well, if they have Southampton have a 4 point deduction starting the season, that
Yes.
could be
Yes.
more with this FA hearing as well. Like it could be so bad that it's like we want you relegated down to League One, so here's a 20 point deduction on top of it. Like you never know how this is going to go. It puts all of Southampton's achievements over the season into question, where they went on that 15 or 16 game unbeaten run, which is basically unheard of in the championship. Like they went to Wrexham away and won 5-1, and they're saying they didn't spy them. I don't know now, it looks a bit dodgy. Like Wrexham were in great form and then go and lose 5-1 at home. Like they've completely and utterly shot themselves in the foot here. And I'd say that manager goes, your man Salt obviously goes. they're going to have to clear house and just start again. And maybe he's not as good as everyone thought he was, because he looked like he was coming in, young manager, 33 or 34 only, and just turned Southampton around all of a sudden. And now we know how he was literally cheating the whole way through and got him into the playoffs. Teams could sue, Wrexham could sue. They missed out on the playoffs because Southampton cheated. Millwall could sue because they wouldn't have been playing Hull, they'd have been playing someone else. Maybe they could have been playing Wrexham. Like, this whole thing could go a lot deeper than it already is. And I'm actually more excited about how this pans out than I am watching the World Cup. So let's see where it goes.
I think it's definitely likely that he's gone. I had noted here that he's likely to be fired because of the playoff knockout, but the 4 point deduction. So that was part of looking at what's going to happen in the future, and I don't see how he stays, and I don't see how he gets another job, because
Mm.
you just have this on your name now. And some of the written evidence submitted to the AFL from that whistleblower from the Edwards piece, he said that it's understood that they've claimed team meetings included references to opposition data being gathered from the training ground. There was even an accusation that a text message instructed an analyst to travel to an opposition team's training ground after they had just changed managers. Southampton did not know their lineup or if there would be any personnel changes. And this is Oxford United we're talking about. One of the worst teams
Yeah, I
in the
know.
championship, and they had felt the need to go and do that. Like, this is almost like a compulsion that they needed to like scratch that itch of going to spy, or else they felt like they couldn't go and play the game. Like, it's just incredibly strange, and I agree with you that Hull should
There's
have went
talks
up.
as well that there was stuff in group chats the whole way back to December. They were making jokes about gun spying on teams in group chats. I think that was in the same article as well. I don't know whose article I read that in, but just Southampton players now are looking to sue the club. Howard Bellis is apparently looking to sue the club because he's missing out on promotion clause and all that kind of stuff. He's the fella that was making
He
these
was the one that,
gestures
yeah,
when
exactly.
they scored against Middlesbrough. Like, it's one of those first viewer, like life comes at you fast. If you don't stop to look at it once in a while, maybe you'll miss it. Like, this is, you brought this on yourself. Like, if you try and sue this club, you're going nowhere. He's going out with Roy Keane's, or he's engaged
Yes.
to Roy Keane's daughter as well. Let's say Roy Keane will give him a slap
Oh,
over the head and say, "Don't you dare even think about suing your own club, you clown." But
I'm
the
sure
whole thing
Keane wasn't
is,
too
it's
happy
both
when he saw the
hilarious.
the binocular celebration.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, it's hilarious, it's scary, and it's absolutely mad what could come out of it. And I'm all for it. It's like football's version of EastEnders or something. I've never watched an episode of EastEnders, but I imagine it sounds like a plot line they could very easily come up with.
Yeah,
Spying on
yeah.
another pub or something to see how they're getting all the customers in.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it on that analogy that you made and move on to Gone Chance here, but it's one to watch going into the summer. Last week, we each got a point in the second last week, so I'm 42 to 31. This is our final week of the season with the Premier League ending. So last week I had Wolves to beat Fulham, as did you. That ended in a draw. I had the Pistons to beat the Cavs in game 6. That came off, and they got it to a game 7. And then we had the Timberwolves and Spurs. I had the Timberwolves to beat them, and you also had that, but that didn't come off. But you had Sunderland to beat Everton. They battered them 3-1 at the end. So we got a point each. Looking at this weekend, I've got Sunderland at home to Chelsea. Sunderland are 5-2. I'm surprised they're 5-2. Chelsea are evens for this game. I think Sunderland have it all to play for here, and they've done so well this season. It would be a great way to go out. So I think it's a good price. I've also got United 5-2 away to Brighton, who are money on. I think you could make the argument that United have nothing to play for, but now it looks like Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire are not going to be in the World Cup. They'll be out there with a vengeance to play. Bruno is still going to be trying to get the assist record. So I do think that United go and do a job on Brighton away. And then last up, I've got the Thunder to beat the Spurs in game 3 on the road. They're 23-20, and the Spurs are 20-27. So those are my 3 picks.
Yeah, I had the Thunder to beat the Spurs as well. I think it was a pretty obvious pick considering the other one is on before this episode comes out, so we had no real choice there. Whoever it was, I was going to have to put in. I've gone with Everton to beat Spurs. Kind of just back up on the point I've been making. I can't believe that West Ham and Spurs are both favourites for their games. It's a bit mad to me. So Spurs are 20-23 and Everton are 14-5. and I've gone with Palace to beat Arsenal. Declan Rice and Saka and the boys are outside the Emirates at 5:30 on Wednesday morning, so I don't think they're going to be in much state. They're just going to be thinking about getting to the end of the game so they can lift this trophy back at home. So I've gone with Palace 16-5 to beat Arsenal, who I think it says 3-4, but my computer turned it into a 3-quarter sign, so I can't see 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's 3-4.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think the only reason I avoided that one is because it just has like some kind of a nil-niller written all over it, where Arsenal are all hungover and resting their players for the Champions League final, and Palace are resting everyone for the Conference League final. So I think,
Yeah, I just think I'm guaranteed at this point to not get a 5-pointer this season, so I might as well put in one that just keeps
yeah.
me at getting a max of 2 again. There's no point. If I get a 5-pointer this week, I'll be fuming at myself anyway. So
Well, this is going to be the last week of it, so let's see how we get on. Let's move on to the NFL. We've got a bit of a fun topic for you this week. We're all for doing power rankings, but let's do the powerless rankings. We're going to look at the 10 teams heading into this season that are just completely powerless. They have nothing going for them. The teams that we just don't like the look of. We're going to do it in a draft format, so go back and forth, top 10. And do you have your name wheels ready that like you usually do, or do you want me to pull it up?
no, I don't have it ready. You pull
Okay,
it up there for a change because you always win it when I pull them up. So maybe it's time that I get one back.
here we go. Click to spin. She's spinning. Great podcast, and nobody can see this.
And it's James.
And
What a shock!
it's James. There you go.
What a shock!
Okay, I'm going first here. Right. I think the most, let me reword that. The least powerful team in the NFL, the team that leads our powerless rankings, first overall pick in these powerless rankings. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. This team just smells. There's something going on over there that I think is tragic. First of all, not convinced whatsoever by LaFleur as the new head coach. You know something is going wrong when Jacoby Brissett is doing a holdout against you and you have no other option but Gardner Minshew on your roster as a quarterback. I don't know what they've done in recent years with some of their drafts. Some of them don't make sense. I don't know why they picked Jeremiah Love when they could have traded back or done anything else that helped them. I think he's a great
Mm.
player, but the rest of your team is so bad that it's not going to make much of a difference.
And the money they're giving him is
And
wild for somebody who's never
and
played a
then
snap in the NFL.
yeah, and then you've got like another Ashton Genty situation where it's like you play in front of a weak line, you don't have a good quarterback, and nothing goes well. You pick him high, and it doesn't work out in the first season. And then the division they're in, Seahawks, Niners, and Rams. To play those teams, those are 6-year games. That's 6 losses. I just think that they're in an awful position. So that's why they're number one for me.
Yeah, so they weren't my number one, but they were obviously in a top 5 for me. I'm kind of sticking with the tried and trusted. I'm going with the Titans. I still just don't. I don't like them. I still think they're so far off being a team that is going to do much challenging this year. They're in another division that is quite difficult. They have the Texans, obviously the Colts and the Jags. The Jags might make an appearance here as well, but the other two aren't going to be anywhere near our powerless rankings here. I just think the Titans are just still a bit crap, and they go in at number one for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure about those teams not making an appearance. Let's see how we get on here. But yeah, I agree. I think the Titans they just got a load of failed Jets and Giants players that were okay, but they're on
Yeah,
completely horrible teams just because they have their coaches now.
yeah, they're just. I don't want to say it again, but they're another unserious organization. We have a James Harden's an unserious person. They're an unserious organization. There's a lot of unserious organizations in the NFL at the moment, but they're top of it for me. The Cardinals are up there as well, obviously, for all the points you put out. But there are just some shocking teams in this competition. It's I don't know. It's wild to me at times how these GMs have jobs and make these decisions that they make and keep coming back next year and get to do it again. And the Titans are right up there for me.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, I don't think this one is as much of a shock maybe to you as the first one I had. I've got the Browns coming in at third here for us. Look, this is just bad news. Their quarterback situation is horrendous. Deshaun Watson is apparently going to have a competition for the starting job with Shador. that's a sentence you don't want to hear as a fan of any team.
Yeah.
And you've got a guy in there as the head coach who, look, he did good with the Ravens as offensive coordinator, but I don't know how well he's going to do here. It's just going to be a difficult situation for everybody who's involved, and I think although they've drafted well the last 2 years, I just think the quarterback situation and the question marks around the coaching is too big for me to not have them in third place.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. They are quite clearly quite crap. And they're another team that aren't going to be coming anywhere near to challenging anyone this season. So yeah, I don't mind it at all. What they did last year in that draft it's never ever going to make sense to me. Taking all those quarterbacks and none of them are good enough. And they did draft a bit better this year, but that doesn't take them away from what they put up last year. And it's kind of the same with my pick at 4 here with the Raiders. That yeah, they've done a lot of business this offseason, but until they actually show me what they can do, then they're still just there right down towards the bottom of this list for me because I just think yeah, you can spend this money all you want, but money doesn't always equal success. And yeah, they've gotten a great center in, but does he have anyone behind him he can trust? Is it going to be Cousins? Is it going to be Mendoza? It is Cousins, and yeah, it is Cousins that's gone there. Whoever it is going to have a really, really tough time behind their O line still, despite the money they spent on it. And then their wide receivers are just nothing to write home about. So we'll just have to wait and see if they can pull anything out of a hat. And it's another one I might come back and eat my hat on. But for the moment, the Raiders are definitely in the top 5 worst teams in the NFL for me.
Okay, I had them a little bit lower. I had them at 9th when I was going through these because I just think they made some good acquisitions and the quarterback situation is better, but they're still completely one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Next up, I'm sorry to do this, but the Jets. You can't
Thanks.
you can't be having Geno Smith as your quarterback and Aaron Glenn as your head coach and not be in the top 5 here. I just think that last year was a disaster. They had a good draft class, but it's not going to get them anywhere when Geno is the quarterback. They've got some question marks on the offensive line. And then you've also got a defense that's very mismatched. You brought in some players, but I don't know how well they all gel together. Like you look at the likes of Minka Fitzpatrick, he might be past it. This kind of a move may not work out. I don't know. I think if you start off well, you could have a decent season where it's an improvement. But if the first 2 or 3 games are losses, you might find it hard to pick up even 3 or 4 wins because Glenn is gonna self implode and he's gonna be the one that's scapegoat for this whole thing. So and he knows it too. So I've got the Jets in there at our number 5 pick in the Powerless Rankings.
Yeah, they were going to go in there for me next, to be honest. Kind of just to follow on from what the Raiders have done again, the Jets have done a lot of business in the summer, but again, money doesn't equal success. And like, how do you bring in a defensive coordinator last year and you don't get a single interception all season or whatever it was is really, really, really poor. And then Geno Smith is your starting quarterback. You got rid of him 13 years ago. How has he ended up back here again? So yeah, the Jets were next for me. I'd love to put the Giants in here as retaliation, but obviously I can't because they've done really well, gotten in the best head coach that was available on the market. So I'm going to drop the Saints in, and I'm really sorry, Conan, but just what are the Saints like? Honestly, what are they like? Tyler Shook, fair enough. He looked good towards the end of last season. Can he do it again this year? Let's just wait and see. I just think they're a team that are missing Drew Brees, and he's gone how many years now? We just have just another team that we have to wait and see what they do. I don't think they're going to do much, but let's just see if they can pull anything out of the hat. And do you know what? They might be better than the Jets, but that mightn't be hard at the same time.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a bad season. I had them on my list as well.
Hmm.
I just think Shook he had a good few games at the end of last season, but statistically how much better was he than Spencer Rattler earlier in the
Yeah,
season? Like not much. I think they're going to be picking their quarterback next season, no matter what people think about Shook. So I've got 7th spot, and I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. I think they're just in a disaster situation, and they've put themselves here. Really, they're trying to blow it up. They let go of any decent talent they had pretty much across the board. They traded away Jalen Waddle. They have a new head coach in Jeff Hafley, who's probably guaranteed a second year before this year has even started because they know how bad it's going to be on him. Malik Willis, look, he did well when he came in, but I don't think he's a starting quarterback for a full season, and the team is already in complete disarray already. So I just think that this is going to be a bad season for the Dolphins, and yeah, I think seventh spot is probably, look, at the end of the season when we look back, we're going to say this is probably too low because they could be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, they were actually so irrelevant. I forgot they existed to put them into my top 10 even. So that will tell you where they are. But yeah, this is a team that are looking to reset. And a bit like Aaron Glenn, this head coach is going to come out of it with no credit. And he's going to be in an awful position coming into year three. I know it's a long way away, but if he gets fired after year two, he'll do well to get another job in the NFL. I think the same way Aaron Glenn might struggle to get another job. Definitely as a head coach, if year two goes the way we expect it to. I'm This is kind of where I started to struggle with finishing out at 10 teams. I'm going to put the Steelers in here at 8 because of their quarterback situation. Is Aaron Rodgers coming back again? Are they going to go with someone else? What
Yeah,
are they
they've
going to
signed
do?
him.
Are they waiting for 45-year-olds? Sorry?
They've signed Rodgers like 3 days ago
Oh,
now.
have
So
they?
yeah,
Okay. Oh, well, I missed that, but I'm still going to put him in there because Aaron Rodgers is their starting quarterback going into another
yeah,
season, and he was finished and he was at the Jets in 2021. So, yeah, I think there's not too many teams from here on that have done terribly. This Steelers team haven't done very well.
yeah. I had them on my list too. I was going to put them in because I just think they're kind of aimless. And yeah, they Rogers was supposed to meet with them like 2 weeks ago, and he didn't show up at the facility. I can't blame you for not following this story because it's completely boring. It's the same thing we've had for the last three
It just
years.
goes and goes and goes.
And then, like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, they announced that they signed him. And then yesterday, he announced he's retiring after the end of the season. And you're just like, why do you always have to make something about yourself? Like, just play or don't play. We don't care what you're doing after the season. It's not going to be a good one anyway. So you should just retire now. Like Mike McCarthy in there as head coach, I don't think that's going to go down well. The fans didn't like it. They didn't do well in the draft. Half all their fans left the draft area because they didn't get the player they wanted, even though it was in Pittsburgh. Everything just looks
Mm.
bad. I think they're up for their first losing season in a long, long time. So I agree with you there wholeheartedly and have them in. Next up is
I
one of
think
those.
I think the fact Aaron Rodgers managed to fall out with Pat McAfee says a whole lot about him as well, because Pat McAfee is someone who loves annoying people. Like he doesn't have annoying people. He loves people who are annoying, and even he got sick of Aaron Rodgers and his nonsense. So that goes to show just how far down the rabbit hole Aaron Rodgers has gone.
Yeah, and there was a time there McAfee was paying him reportedly like $1 million to come on the show
Yeah,
from ESPN, and now look at this. Yeah, look, Rogers could. I just don't understand the
I
way
don't
he's
care.
carried himself to the rest of his season or to his career. I'm going with the Colts. Look, you said you
Damn
might
you!
not see team from that division on this board, but the Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones, I think they've royally messed up. They paid Alec Pierce way too much. They gave up way too much for Sauce Gardner and didn't have a first round pick this year because of it. They paid Daniel Jones now. They've got him in there. I've seen enough of him. What you got from him at the end of last season is what you're going to get 90% of the time. Just because he had a few good games, it's not his fault he's always getting injured. He's injury prone. His body is obviously, consistently getting injured in the same areas because of previous injuries. That's not his fault, but he's just not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Never was, and he never will be. And they've gone in on him, and they're going to rue it this year. I think Steichen will be on the chopping block after this season. I think they're going to stink it up. And I think they'll be floating around with the Titans towards the bottom of that division.
Yeah, I had them in my top 10. When I was saying teams won't get in, I did mean the other two.
Okay.
And to kind of try off the scent of putting the Colts in as well. I'm just going to throw in the Commanders here because I have actually run out of options now. I don't think they're going to turn a 5-12 into a 12-5 going into this season, as even as good as Jalen Daniels might be. I think they're in for another tough season. They might get over 500, but I don't think they're making playoffs again. And then after that, then they'll have to see what to do because Jalen Daniels is probably finishing his rookie deal at the end of this season. 3
They'll,
years.
they'll probably have to sign him. Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll get
they'll
another
have to
year out
pay
of him,
him.
but they'll have to pay him to get to get ahead of the market. So
Yeah,
I
so they'll
don't.
have to wait, and we'll have to see how that goes as well. But I just don't think this is a Commanders team. The one 2 years ago, I thought they were shoe-ins to be Super Bowl contenders, and I don't know what they did last summer, but they made some mess of it, and they're still going to be reaping the weeds they sowed in that summer coming into this season.
Yeah, well put. I think I had them last season when we started the season outside of the playoffs. I just think they did way too much above what they should have, and I think the Patriots could be a team that
Mm.
follows suit. They actually made it to the Super Bowl, but they were way ahead of schedule, and I think the Commanders did it. And the next season we saw that drop off. And Daniels is another one who consistently gets injured unless he changes his play style. And they're talking about putting him under center. I don't know if he ever has ever done that before. I just don't know what way this is going to go. So I like, obviously as a Giants fan, I like seeing the Commanders on this list. But our top 10 is Cardinals, Titans, Browns, Raiders, Jets, Saints, Dolphins, Steelers, Colts, Commanders. That is a pretty powerless list. So I think we've done very well there.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have at least one mess up, but we've done well there, so I'm proud of us. Pats on the backs all around.
It's on the back. Well done, everybody. Move from the power list rankings into the power rankings to wrap it up. The last one of the season, because the Premier League is wrapped up now, and there's no point in doing 6 NBA teams when there's only going to be 4 left after this week. So last week I had the Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks, Bournemouth, Spurs, and Man United. This week I've still got the Thunder first, best team in the NBA. I know they lost the game, but I just think they're what they've done all season, only losing once so far in the playoffs, just superb. Arsenal are second. They won the Premier League in the Champions League final. They don't move. The Knicks are still in third. I think they look great. They made a great comeback, and I think they will beat the Cavs. I've moved Aston Villa in at fourth. They got the Europa League win, so they're in the Champions League next season. They've done very well in the Premier League too, so they deserve to be here. San Antonio Spurs move back in, or stay in, should I say, in the same spot as last week. They're in fifth, just because I think Villa deserve to get in there pretty high, and the Knicks are doing very well. And then last up, I've got Bournemouth to round things out. I wanted to keep United in the very last one, but these other 3 teams, Arsenal won the league, Villa won the Europa, and Bournemouth have just done unbelievably well getting into the Europa League and possibly still the Champions League. So they deserve to stay in there in that 6th spot. So my final rankings is Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks, Villa, Spurs, and Bournemouth.
You can go back and say our final rankings are and list off those 6, because I think it's the first time ever we have the exact same 6 in the exact same order. So,
That's mad.
but maybe we're talking too much. It was close there a couple of weeks ago. We had United in instead of Bournemouth, but we've gotten there. Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks, Villa. Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks. Why can't I read? Sorry. Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks, Villa.
Spurs.
I'm looking at the wrong week. 1 second. Yes, sorry. Yeah, Thunder, Arsenal, Knicks, Villa, Spurs, Bournemouth. Jesus. I clicked
Yeah,
over to the wrong week somehow on the thing, but yeah, there we
that's
go.
mad. That's mad because even last week you had Knicks in at 2, Arsenal 3. You had the Cavs
Yeah.
in there, Bournemouth 5th, and we still managed to move them all back into the same order, which is mad to end the season on that. So
For me, it was just like Arsenal had to move up, obviously.
yeah.
The Knicks did fall 22 points down. So
Mhm.
they aren't as powerful as I thought they were last week. They were very good last week, so they were going to drop down. Obviously, Villa come in after what they did last night, and the rest just kind of is an easy pick. Then the Thunder are clearly the best team around. The Spurs are quite good as well, but they did lose the other night, so it all just kind of fell into place. Really, I was delighted to not have to put United into my last one.
Even though they got that 3rd spot, I think the other teams, for what they were expected of, did very, very well, so they deserve it.
Yeah,
We'll leave it there for this week. I'll throw it to you to wrap it, because we've been covered off a lot in this episode. So let's wrap it up.
yeah. Let's keep it kind of short. 77 episodes done now. I haven't been on all of them. James has done 77 episodes. He's the stalwart here. Just continue going. We picked up a good few followers this week from starting to post on Instagram Reels, I think they're called. I'm getting too
Oh,
old
the
for this.
YouTube shorts.
So if you could start, oh, YouTube Shorts, yeah, there we go. So that's the one. So if you could start watching them as well, that'd be great. And yeah, just keep it going. We really appreciate all the support, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much. Welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball with Shane and James.